Let me mute us. And we're live.
Hello, and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, my name is Trey, and you can find me at OrpheTunes on most social media. And I'm joined by my co-host, Emily, and you can find her at Emily Kramer Art on most social media. Hi, Emily.
Hi. What is happening?
Right.
You are so straight-laced today. Like, normally we have a little quip and a little joke, and now you're like, hi, I'm Trey. You can find me at OrpheTunes. And I was not ready for that, as I am with most of your intros. But still, like, whoa.
You know, we got to keep it fresh. We got to keep it interesting.
I'm for that. I'm for that. We have a cast iron skillet here that's ready, just in case we don't.
Absolutely.
Look, all right, I've got enough bruises from you. I don't need another one. But in all seriousness, I think we've got an incredible duo that's here today. So would you do us the honor and introduce them?
Yes, we have Angie and Chris are a husband and wife musical duo known for their musical group, Eleyet McConnell. And we have them here today on the show. Thank you for coming. We're so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you. It's actually pronounced Eleyet.
I said Elliot. Oh my gosh.
Well, you know, we were in Atlanta just a weekend or so ago at the
That's how we knew we won.
Singer-Songwriters Association. We won gold for single of the year, and they couldn't pronounce it. But so they just said McConnell.
No, you know what it was? Is I know how to say it. It's that I looked over my other screen where it's typed out.
You wanted to say Eyelet, didn't you?
And it was, yeah, and my brain did it.
Well,
I'm so sorry. I know it's Elliot.
Yeah, it's not spelled the right way.
My brain went eyelet, and it's because I do sewing, and there's eyelet fabric, and
there you go.
I apologize though. That's important that people know you by your. Very sorry, but congratulations on this gold award.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
It's a shocker. Honest to God, we weren't expecting anything. We weren't expecting any of that stuff.
No.
We were just happy to go.
You don't want to jinx it by writing some sort of acceptance speech when you're your first year there. You don't do nothing like that.
We had nothing prepared.
Yeah, and
I screamed in the audience.
She did. She embarrassed me.
I love that.
She embarrassed me. All I kept thinking is just don't trip on the steps. Don't trip on the steps.
So what is that moment like when you're like, okay, they read the list of names that are nominated first, I presume. Is it like the Oscars?
Kind of. So, well, there was a lot of no, I did scream, Josh. Like out loud. Everybody laughed. But we had like you they put up the list of nominees or finalists for this nomination of the category. So there's probably 15, maybe 20.
About 20, 15 to 20.
And so they have gold, silver, and bronze. And so they announce the bronze, and they announce the silver, and then they.
At that point, we're like, well,
no way. And he opens up the card, and he's like, well, we're gonna have trouble saying this, and I grabbed Chris by the arm because
everybody has trouble saying it. Calling it, spelling it. Because
Yeah.
I even sometimes say island.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say the wrong thing, like this weekend.
He did.
That's very generous of you. Thank you for saying that.
The wrong town.
Oh, he said it way big wrong, but that's okay.
It was an ex-girlfriend's town.
I know. I was like, what just happened? What is happening? I had my moment. That's what I did. Anyway, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
So they said it incorrectly.
Yeah.
And then what
McConnell,
is happening in your brain?
On this big jumbotron thing, just like at the Oscars, you see your pictures and your video and
music and
the music is playing really loud. Yeah, it was surreal.
Yeah.
I still am wrapping my head around it.
2 nominations later, they called us up for bronze on album of the year. And again, he couldn't pronounce it. He goes, I'm gonna say it wrong.
Oh my God.
They did this time. They just played the music, threw our picture up there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And
At that time, she was wordless on what to say, and then I said the wrong things. I said Michael Stover as the studio.
oh, he just got our studio owner mixed up with our promoter. That's okay.
Oh.
Too many
Michaels.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine what that's like getting up there and trying to remember any names at all.
My heart was racing. I had total rat brain. Like I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I was thrilled. I was tearful. It was surreal.
Well,
yeah.
you know, it happens fast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that's happened for us this past year that's been really exciting and big for us. And, you know, the anticipation leading up to it has more value to it than the actual moment, because the moment is there and gone. You know,
Quickly.
you've worked yourself up to this moment, and then that moment is just a moment in time.
Yeah.
And it's just a memory at that
Flash.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can just
Ready
replay
for
it
that.
in your head and
Oh, I do. All
yeah,
the time.
I bet.
I do. It's
I just think it's time to up the game.
yeah.
You know, you got to up the game now.
So we go in October to Nashville to the Josie Music Awards, and we have 3 nominations there. So
And that's at the
Cool.
Grand Ole Opry House.
you know,
So cool.
Yeah, I know.
Seriously,
no
congratulations.
promises that I
Yeah.
won't scream again. I probably
They got
will.
us up for album of the year, duo of the year, multi-genre, and single.
Wow. All right.
So it's just
Oh.
the experiences, you know. It's being
Yeah.
able to live something like this. I'm retired now. You know, I've been retired for 2.5 years, and when I should be settling down, I'm working harder and longer and faster than
I
I've
know.
ever done.
But how rewarding, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Keeps you young
Yeah.
and sore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
a lot of shows coming up. We did a double header Saturday where we
Yeah.
started at a festival at noon, finished that up, went to another town, had to do a winery that evening.
Good times.
It has a lot of
Good
setup,
times.
tear downs, and load ups.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We're
So
not
from
cool
a,
enough for roadies yet, but
it's still like to win these awards, to be invited out to Nashville for like some prestigious awards, like that is
Yeah.
incredible.
it's crazy.
The Josies are the Josie
It's-
Awards is what they're called. They're like the Grammy Awards for indie music.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's international, so it's another one of those
For
big
unsigned
events.
artists, it's the largest award show in the world for unsigned artists, and
Yeah.
Nice.
but the other one is nothing to sneeze at either. I mean, there are 28,000 members in the International Singer-Songwriters Association, and
Yeah.
at that award show, there were 28 countries represented. So
Wow.
people from all over the world were there, and we were the only act in the USA that took away 2 awards. So I still can't even believe that happened.
Wow.
Tammany Dove is the lead lady for that
Yeah.
organization. She's amazing. She's just
Yeah, you get a big old
She's a rock
pre-party and a
star.
post-party,
Yeah.
and
What
you get to
fun.
meet. You know, there was
So many people.
28 countries from around the world that
Yeah.
was there.
yeah.
Hey, Archer 33. I have gotten to the point I forgot my own
It's
name.
Josh. Yeah. Yeah.
I could see that. That's how cool. Did you get like a physical award then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
we got
They
these
look
crystals.
like
Crystal
like an Emmy or
statues.
something. They're these
Yeah.
crystal statues with this like diamond shaped thing on a
Lasered engraved,
Really nice
and
and
got a
beautiful.
globe inside the
They weren't cheap.
base.
I'm
It's
they
globe.
were not cheap.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So I had to build a shelf. We're starting to get too many of these things. So
Never too many.
yeah.
No, that says such good things
Yeah.
about you, and I think you
Yeah.
should revel in that as long as you can.
I
And
am.
Clearly, you're going in the right direction. You're doing something right. People are loving it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We
yeah.
at least I think have got a toe in the door. You know.
Yeah.
So maybe a little
Yeah.
more than toe. We're probably into a foot now. You know.
Half a foot.
It's going to hurt if they close it.
I won't feel it.
Yeah.
But it won't hurt as bad as a cast iron skillet, will it?
No.
But I tell you what, it does energize you to get back in the studio again. And
Mhm.
we're going to start doing singles with a video on each single.
Yeah.
Where before we did an album with 12 songs, and already we have 4 singles off that album.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's probably a good 2-3 more singles that we can get off that album. So that's kind of holding us
I think so.
some ground while we
Yeah.
get back in the studio.
So, do you in your video, do you come up with a concept or do you hire, like, how does that work for you?
Well, we've done them all ourselves so far.
Cool.
And I do pretty much all the most of the post editing stuff.
Awesome.
We've kind of had concepts for them so far.
We sit down, have a little
We
ideas.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Brainstorm different things.
We've bought a lot of equipment that we haven't used yet. You know, there's a lot of learning curve to a lot of this stuff.
Oh my God. It's a. Whew.
But you know, we've won 2 video film awards for our videos.
I know.
Yeah. That's
And that was a surprise. We didn't even know we were in any kind of
We didn't know
contest.
we were even considered for that, but nice,
Seems like a lot of stuff we find out about the same time everybody else finds out.
well, and
Very
that's
rarely are we getting heads up on this stuff.
That's
Nice.
awesome if you're doing it all yourself. That's something that you don't see too often. It's something,
No.
I don't know if you're familiar with Lindsay Sterling, the violinist. She does her own, for the most part, as well. There are some she hasn't, but like I'm always really impressed by the fact that she still does it even after all this time. And I think that I think at one point maybe that wasn't as accepted as it is now, but to be that multi-talented and to be able to receive an award that shows the multifaceted talents you have is pretty great.
You know, in this day and age with the technologies and what you have out there, you can do it by yourself.
You can.
I-
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff you can do.
I never had experience with video editing or any of that stuff until these came on, and I've sort of like, I've taught myself. The tutorials and all the things, and some of the software is really nice, and you find a platform that's as user friendly as you need it to be, right? So there are plenty of others out there that are way more complex and I'm sure better, but I'm not there yet. So I use what works for me, and then I feel like each time that I do something or work on it, I get a little bit better at it, and I find a couple more tools and a couple more tricks and incorporate them into the next project. So Chris is now chomping at the bit where he's like, I want to sit down and learn how to do this. And I'll tell you, once he does that, he'll be better at it than I am, because he's if you can get him to sit still, because he has a short attention span most of the time. But there are a few things that he does where he could hyper focus and be lost for days. I think this will be one of them.
Well, give me a month to do it, and I'll wait till the last.
He'll wait till the last minute. But
that seems to work for me.
if you want to see him get totally absorbed in something, he will draw schematics, because this is what he did in the engineering lab for so many years. And he'll draw these schematics of whether it's a stage plot or whether it is the wiring harness for our school bus with all the solar and stuff that we're renovating, or it's the electrical stuff that he made for our stage, so that we could have as few hookups and plugins as possible.
Wow.
He'll sit there and
Well,
do
the whole
that.
key is to have the best sound you can with the least amount of equipment and good quality equipment and with the least setup time.
Yeah.
And that's what we've worked on it's constantly on the change.
He could do that stuff until
Couldn't
rapture.
sleep last night, so I got a new design for our mixer board / snake.
See? Yeah. And paint. Who uses paint? Chris.
I do. Some things I just don't want to grow out of, you know?
So don't. Why do you have
Yeah.
to stop?
You know why?
He won't.
Exactly.
I don't make him.
I'm
He's
old
good at
school. Old school with
He's good
everything.
at
I
it.
know. I just love doing things the old way. You know, I'll write on a piece of paper with a pen.
I do still like my own pen and paper calendar.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I still read hardcover books.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm on a long trip, I don't mind the audio thing, but I'll listen to podcasts in the car. But I like when I read, I want to read a book, a real book.
I want something physical in my hands that I can turn the pages.
Yeah.
Something about that. I don't know. That's
Yeah, I don't want to worry about the battery on my phone dying while I'm reading something and I'm in this great moment and
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Nothing will put me to sleep better than a good book, if I could find one. We've been moving, and I don't know what anything's at.
Can't find
right now.
anything. We're still in the throes of organizing and getting moved out of one place
Yeah,
into the
it's
other.
going on in 2
Oh my
months,
God.
3 months. It'll be a year that we've been moving from one house to the other. First, we had to renovate the other house,
Mhm.
which is now what we're in, so you can see they can't see, but
We still need trim on the
trim
door.
on that door. but it's kept us busy.
Yeah.
It's kept us busy
Yeah.
doing a lot of things that typically we wouldn't be doing. We're I don't know if we're cheap as much as I just can't see paying an exorbitant price when we have the ability to do it ourselves. So we rebuilt this place ourselves.
We have.
I like that DIY attitude. That's
And we didn't.
yeah.
I didn't hit him with an iron skillet.
On this one, no.
I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't. I know.
So renovating your own house, you are making your own videos and editing them yourselves. You are touring a lot. Do you guys have downtime? And if so,
Yeah.
what
No,
with?
but I'm going to say no, not enough. And we're finding this out the hard way, where we're going to have to. We have to schedule it in.
Yeah, you do. We have
That's
to
not
schedule
even-
time with friends.
But if we don't, then we find we're like run, and oh my God, I feel terrible. I think that's what happened to me today. I'm so tired. Why am I so tired? Well, I think I just hit a wall, and I need a couple of days to just recoup.
Now
and do nothing.
add kids and grandkids and great
Yeah, we have
grandkids.
those.
We got 7 grandchildren and,
Wow.
and 3
Wow.
great grandchildren, the oldest being 10. And there's always a birthday. There's always a baptism. There's always a something, you know. And you know, when you have daughters, you just hope you can find a daughter that can find a guy that can change a tire, change the oil.
Ours aren't good at that.
Otherwise, I get to do all these jobs.
Yeah.
You know,
Ours can't do. Our girls.
we
they
get
don't
to
find those
we have to run up to Yellow Springs all the time to help our daughter up there, Jade. And you know, the one good thing is you might run into Dave Chappelle up there because
Yeah.
he lives in that town.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just a little rural American town, you know, little liberal arts town.
Have you run into him?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
he just
yeah.
lives
Yeah.
just up the road from our daughter, and
Yeah.
they're good friends.
They're friends. There's
Nice.
always somebody in the summer. There's always, you know,
He's by.
celebrities running around. They go hang out with Dave.
Oh yeah. Well, one year
Yeah.
was it last year?
Well, you also Bill Murray.
Yeah, it was
or
last year.
Kid Rock or
Yeah, she
Eminem.
didn't.
50 Cent
She's
was
never
just
been
there.
on a. We got a Mad River around here. It's called Mad River. It's not a Mad River. And
She can be.
she took her first canoe trip with me,
I did.
and it was like 95 degrees, and
Everybody
it
was
was hot.
on the
It was
boat
like
that day.
30 people in front of us, 30 people behind us in canoes, and I'm like, it's never this
Let's
busy.
get around all these people.
And then there was a bottleneck up in front of us, and then it was an old trestle that the bridge is gone, but you still have the embankment, the cement embankments. And we looked up there, and it's like one of those Budweiser commercials where girls are wearing bikini tops, cut off shorts, cowboy boots,
Everybody's screaming and jumping.
quad
in the river.
runners, and a big party going on. And all I saw was nobody in front of us at that point. So let's get past the bottleneck. Let's just keep going, you know, and take in the serenity. And a friend of mine was yelling at me, and I'm like, you know, I couldn't hear what he was saying until Monday. I saw him at work, and Kid Rock was up there for 2.5 hours. He was there. He was doing a show with Dave. Dave Chappelle
Yeah.
has bought up a lot of buildings in Yellow Springs. It's a little town. And he turned a fire station into a comedy club / restaurant. So every week, some famous person is coming
Something's
and spending
going
a
on
week there. And well, who was it? McGillis.
Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis was there just last week.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we don't run into the celebrities. We don't get that fortunate, but
Because we're working.
because we're always working.
Right. Or seeing
Always working.
grandkids. Right.
Do it a birthday party or do it a baptism or
Something.
So how
But
did
we
you
don't have time.
how did you two decide to create Eleyet McConnell?
Wow. We were in cover band here locally for a long time, and we had a name. We were very well known. We were very busy,
Pandemic struck.
well, before even that, we knew, because we were starting to write some things back then, and we knew we were going to have to change our name because, one, it was a silly cover band name, and it was also affiliated or very close to a famous gangster rock band out west.
It was the very same name as a gangster rock band out in LA. So we were getting very
That's an
nasty
interesting message.
emails from guys in prison.
Yeah, it's like, oh my goodness. But
So we could never use that name in recording.
no. And
Then the pandemic hit.
then the pandemic hit. And at the time, my last name was Eleyet. And so Chris and I were the ones that kind of stuck. That did some wild things to people just in general. Like jobs changed, family dynamics changed, personal levels of comfort changed. I mean, obviously to each his own. It just is what it is. And so Chris and I just decided we were doing some open mics for some places that were doing things publicly, and Eleyet McConnell just sort of formed. That's just it made sense. It sounded good, had a nice little jingle to it, and here we are.
And then when we got married, which is 2.5 years ago, we got married. We didn't want to change it to McConnell. That just sounds
like tort law firm.
Yeah, law firm. We're going to chase.
Oh yeah.
Or lawyers.
Or.
Yeah. Insurance companies. So we kept it with an entity like that. Now what that has done is created this false image of what a lot of people think she is Eleyet McConnell, which basically this is what it is now. I got no problem with that. You gotta go where it goes.
It's funny to read some of them.
Yeah,
that's relatable. I had a fashion line that I created, and the name of it was Anno Domini, like AD versus
AD.
BC. Yeah, Anno Domini. And so I can't tell you how many people thought my name was Anno Domini, and it's not, obviously, but because that's common to name your fashion line your own name.
Yeah.
So people got introduced me to other people as Anno.
I was like,
yeah, so I get that.
Yeah, what do you do?
It's funny how that happens. I just go with it.
You have to go with it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and they would butcher pronouncing it just like Eyelet.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I don't even my last name was Eleyet. I didn't even. They were like, "What's your last name?" I'm just gonna spell it for you. I just would spell it. I didn't even say it first. Usually, I just started spelling.
I've even wrote it down as Eyelet.
Yeah, he has.
E-Y-E. Yeah.
He has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see doing that. Like, I would imagine if I just heard it, I would spell it ELL.
Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So you decided to start this, and
we started as going to these open mics.
Yeah.
And last week, and actually last Saturday, we did that double header. So we had the festival early, and then we ended up at Dalton Union, which is where her and I did an open mic.
First open mic.
The first open mic we ever did. And the woman that is the owner of the place wanted to sign us up for a whole show.
Yeah.
So we signed up for, we needed to come up with 3 or 4 hours of music in 3 months. So that just kind of spurred us to get
moving.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, as we started doing it, I think this was the only way that we were really going to get our music out there. We had been writing and trying to record things through friends, doing DIY in it,
DIY home studios,
it just
like that.
Never finished. We recorded plenty of things. It just never got finished. And so finally, we were doing an open mic at a place down in Fairborn, and just met a guy who owned a studio. Ended up at his studio. It was still 2:00 in the morning, and that's where we recorded this album. So making the decision to then use professionals or people who do this, for a living, or at least in a different place other than a friend's house or whatever. And then we got, we realized, okay, the folks we've been working with all this time are near and dear to our hearts, and they are like family, but they are busy and they cannot dedicate to this project what is going to be required for it to finish in a timely fashion. So we started using studio musicians and doing some studio work, and
we are loyal to a fault.
Oh gosh, I know.
So we've stuck around a long time, wasted a lot of time waiting for people, trying to give them the opportunity. We have given a lot of people the opportunity to kind of be involved in one manner or another, because we like to share everything that's going. It's a machine.
It is.
It's not just her. It's not just me.
Yeah.
It takes a machine to put it all together. You got different companies. You got to have attorneys. So we got a lawyer. We got we're our own publisher, our own record company, all that stuff. We did a lot of stuff to make us as self-sufficient without having too many other entities involved, but still it requires a lot of other people.
And we realized all the work it takes behind the scenes. The recording and the playing part, that's the easy part. It's the very, very easy part.
That's like this podcast too.
And the most enjoyable part. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
It's the other stuff behind the scenes that is just very consuming. And I would say we're busy enough now that it's a job. It's a job. It's a job I love, and it's a job he loves, but it's a job. The administrative stuff, man, if you don't stay on top of it, it will get away from you, and it's so important. It's as important as the work itself.
What's crazy for us is all the recognition that's going on with it, the project.
Yeah.
And I mean, if, like she said, if she doesn't, if we don't keep up on top of what's happening, it starts piling up, and then you have all this stuff, and you got to go back and address it. You have to address it almost every day.
Yeah, I'm touching something with it every single day, on the administrative side.
And I'm still trying to move from the other house over to here. We still have stuff over there to go.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into a lighting and ejection seats.
And I work full time still. You know, luckily I'm a remote from home person. Yeah, I mean, it's just we're insane. We're insane. Yeah.
She used to be a director of surgery for a few hospitals, and then now she works from home. So, you know, and I'm retired, so
it's the only way we're able to get all of this done, I think.
Yeah.
It seems to work well for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Trey.
I'm glad that you have found like a system that works for you, but you talking about the administrative side of things, I think the dream gets sold to people of like the glamorous side, and then we don't always talk about like the administrative things that come along with that. Now, the other thing that I want to caveat is to say, I'm glad that you still find the fun in doing that, and that fuels you to continue doing those things so that, yes, the necessary parts get done, but also you still get to have fun on stage where the true magic happens.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, it's like your child, right? You do all these things with your kids or your pets or whatever it is that you love that you have to take care of. And it's, you know, sitting there cuddling and doing all that stuff. That's the fun part. But they're still, you know, you gotta make sure they have, you know, what are their healthcare pieces and their vet pieces or their you know, whatever, all of that extra stuff that goes along with having responsibility for something that you treasure like that. Same thing goes with your music. I mean, you have to make sure that it's protected, that it's identified, that it's you know, trackable, all those things, and there's a lot to that.
This is the first time she used a child analogy to this.
It is the first time I've done that.
Yeah, it's
but it's like a baby. It's our baby.
Child, yeah.
It's our baby.
What do you usually use for an analogy?
I don't think I've ever really described it that way till just now.
Well,
it is your baby. This whole thing is your baby.
It is.
So,
it is.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, going along that line, when we write music, and we've got a lot of, we could do 10 albums.
Oh, we have so much
We
stuff.
have so much material.
Which is a problem in and of itself.
Because we can continue to write.
Because it's hard to pick.
Yeah, I don't think I'll outlive the ability to record everything that we have.
J.D. Harris, our producer, and dear friend, he's coming over for dinner on Wednesday. I can't wait to see him. But he
pre-production.
When we were first starting to work with him on this album, he's like, okay, what songs do you want on here? And we're like, we don't know. We have this one, this one, this one. And we started throwing out all these little, you know, you have your voice memos on your phone. We've got little snippets of our songs on there. And his eyes started to glaze over and he goes, okay, stop. I now understand the problem. I see why you've gotten absolutely nowhere with all of this, because there's too much stuff. What are you doing? You know, so we had to.
He really put us down.
Yeah, he did.
Set us down and
Thank
guided
God
us.
somebody could.
You know, and gave us direction. He set up this page with the, what is it, squares and.
Yeah, he did this matrix thing, and he's like, you know, you measure tempo and like an emotional metric, even whether it's super sad or upbeat, and slow to fast. And he goes, you really, if you're gonna get your bullets all in one little sector, then you know you want to make sure if you've almost got yourself a concept album, and is that going to work? Or if you really want a nice little compilation, your line should kind of go in a diagonal, and that helped us narrow it down. So there's a lot of analytical work, I guess, that can go into making the decision about what to put on a record if you're going to do an LP versus an EP.
Yeah, and you know, at the same time, they're trying to put us in a box.
Oh yeah, I was going to say genre. What genre?
What genre are you? Are you country, or are you rock, or are you southern rock? And it's like if you put us in any box, then you'll lose 80% of what we've written.
Yes.
So we've picked 12 songs that kind of summarizes a little bit of what our varieties are, and that seems to have worked out for us so far. The other thing is, we're not trying to sound like anybody. I don't know if it's almost intentional, but you know, I listen to music, but I don't ever try to replicate it. You know, when we do cover songs, we have to, but even then, we do it our way. You know.
Yeah.
So, I think being true to who we are, because, you know, and I always say this, if we lost it all tomorrow, and all we're doing is stuck here with our 9 chickens on this acre of land, we're fine.
Yeah, we have chickens.
We're
didn't tell you
good.
about
We're
any
good.
Oh,
chickens.
yay.
I love my chickens.
Yeah.
Does Pedro like the chickens?
He does. He's very curious about them. He goes out there. I try to, expose them because eventually we're gonna have this big fence around our whole property so everybody can just roam. And he's gotten real close. Or I've taken him into the area where they are, and he's been pecked on the nose a couple times. He's just like, what the hell is that?
I'm sorry, I derailed the whole being true to yourself thing you were talking about.
No, you're fine.
But the point is that
we went right with you.
We were fine if it was with us or not. Our life is complete. We're not gonna. We know what our values are, and we're not gonna change because in country music, there's an awful lot of songs. They all sound the same. That's where the big money is. They're all looking the same. They're all sounding the same, and we're just being true to who we
doing
are.
Our stuff.
A lot of the songs, you're talking about Romance Channel and stuff. A lot of our songs are about us. If you chronologically listen to them in order, you will know our relationship.
Well,
and it's relatable to everybody.
And we're romantics at heart, right? It's about having a dream, following the dream, seeing the silver lining in the dream. We are a little bit hopelessly romantic in that way. That I don't think we'd want to be any other way about it.
She mellows out my romance though in my lyrics. I'll write, thou lust for thy love, and and she's like, yeah, you like.
I'm like,
me.
that's a lot.
Let's take the word thy and go thee and the.
Oh my god.
I write quatrains, quatrains.
2024.
But it sounds like you balance each other out. Like you both find the love of the music, but you're being each other's sounding board.
That's exactly it.
We are,
Yes.
A lot of times she'll start a song and she sounds very Celtic, like we're getting ready to river dance. I'm like, we got to do some change in here,
I think it's fun.
And then there's a lot of times I'm like, you sound like a damn hillbilly.
I am. Can't help it.
That's what it is.
Me.
Then she narrows it down. She gets it, So now I've gotten to where when we start writing something, we got an idea, we're going. I'm just keeping quiet, just listening to her transition herself to where I felt it needs to be. And she's doing pretty good about getting there.
You're such a liar.
I got to give a little guidance.
It also sounds like you two have like a very broad range of knowledge when it comes to music. So I'm curious. Where did that start? Where did that passion for listening to music come from?
For me, I know no different. So I grew up, and it was just a staple in my home. So my mom, to this day, is she played and still plays in her church, and that's where I sang for the first time as a 4-year-old child in front of the church congregation. And my dad was he was a truck driver, but he played guitar all the time, and on the weekends when he was home. They'd call it Pittman, and him and all his buddies would get together. I mean, these were some crazy musicians.
Sit around the living room with guitars.
Banjos, guitars, the whole night. And so I don't know really any different from that. And as I grew older, I started listening to things other than gospel and country music and bluegrass. I loved rock and roll and blues and even some, hip hop R&B kind of stuff, anything soulful. I just dig it.
She never really got into a band until when?
2010 was the first time I really got into a band.
Where I started in 1970.
I sang my whole
That's
life.
when I started. I was 10 years old, thinking I'm a rock star. Learning 3 songs.
And
yeah.
So I think too, when you listen to our stuff, you can tell that we've been influenced by so many different things. And that all comes out in what we do.
We both were raised in Pentecostal churches, that fire, brimstone.
High glory.
And, the music can be kind of lively, and I like that lively music.
Listen,
had a little
some
rock
of those Southern gospel people, they can wail. Those people can sing for days.
I don't think it influenced us enough to continue following that path. We became our own individuals when we got out of the houses. But it did kind of give us a feel for the music. There was a lot of music, a lot of piano playing going on when I was growing up. But I gravitated to Otis Redding, to some of the Elvis music, and then I started getting into Chicago, Bread, America, those softer things,
70s. Great
Bronstadt,
stuff.
yeah. And then
Great
and
stuff.
then I got into a band, and all of a sudden I'm doing Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, and things like that. It's amazing how your genres change dealing with the musicians that you put into your roster.
I love it all.
Was what you're doing now a dream of yours back then?
I think for me, I dreamt of it, and it was just like this thing that I never imagined I would even pursue. It seemed at the time so unrealistic to even think that I would be able to do that sort of thing. I thought about it seriously at one point in the relationship when I was in. It was just kind of discouraged, So I put it away. I chose to be a family, mom, wife, all those kinds of things. And one day I don't want to think. I think the need for it was always deep and buried inside of me, and the universe decided to smack me upside the head because I'd been on the wrong path for long enough. So, I woke up. Yeah. I awakened there. How about that for romanticism?
It can get a little personal here when it comes to the truth of matters. I've been at it a lot of years, and I've gotten videos and awards, and won Regional Star Search in '86. That was just a local thing, nothing big. We took the money, went down south, and recorded a record that went nowhere. And instead of taking the winnings and going out west, and you didn't have a chance to win out there with a lot of the talent that was going on. So my experience of it leading up to where we're at right now, I've got records, I got recordings, and if I listen to them, I'll put them back on a shelf and not hear them for years. I can't do that with our music. Our music, I could hear it every day.
Well, if you don't like your own stuff, you can't expect other people to like it.
Right?
True.
Yeah, and if you're not writing it for you, it's not the same.
If you're not putting everything that you really feel into it. We just we resurrected about 12 songs last week.
We did.
That's been sitting back in the shadows there for a few years.
I pulled out the old 3-ring binder,
and
with all the notes and
they're
stuff.
really good songs. And what really made the difference was in that period of time that they've been on the shelf, we've been growing as musicians. We've been growing as a style, as a dynamic, as a force within ourselves.
So I like the songs even better.
So now the songs have got a new life to them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you still also writing?
Oh yes,
all the time.
Yes.
God help us all if the phone gets flushed on the toilet and it didn't back up or something terrible happened.
We do a lot of singing in the.
We catch snippets. We have so many snippets of different ideas in the phone, and so we'll go back and pull it out and see what happens with it. Sometimes lyrics come first. Sometimes melody comes first. Sometimes they happen at the same time. We don't have a structure. We're very unstructured people. I will say.
I like to find the music first. The melody, and then I'll try to find a rhythm or a cadence to it, and I might throw a couple words out to it, to get the idea what the song is. So going back to what I was going to say, these songs start out, and we're birthing these songs, and then they become little, juveniles. And then as you get into the studio, they go through their tumultuous years as they start adding new instruments and new layers to it. Yeah, and at the end, this thing is matured into a song that's basically the same song you wrote, but more redefined, more mature than what you originally started.
Yeah.
When you get the right people that's involved in producers,
you huck Tui and spit on the thing.
You get J.D. Harris is our producer, and we can't thank him enough for just guiding us and giving us different ideas. He doesn't try to tell us what we need to do. He just suggests things, and we're usually pretty keen to go with his
suggestions.
There
are times where Chris and I have so many ideas in our head that we have the attention span of a flea, and together it's exponentially worse. So JD he's an IT guy by trade, and so he's very analytical and very line by line. So he's like, and he gets us centered again and back on track, and we'll answer the questions, and then after like 3 questions we're off and La La Land again, and he has to do it again. I don't know what it's like to be JD. We'll have to ask JD one day. What's it like?
We'll interview him next and be like, tell us.
Yeah. My daughter was talking to me today about some of these new AI programs where you can write a song and it'll do a lot of the work for you. And she was talking about how she gave the song her poems, or AI her poems, and then how they put it in song form, cleaned up some of the words, to make it more delightful, shall we say.
It was weird.
And don't crunch no ice cream.
I just did. I had to. I'm sorry.
She
Did you
got
have
a
my ice
hollow
cruncher?
head when she crunches. Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Good.
Yeah, I did. I hear it's right there. So anyway, Angie's kind of my AI. I'll put a lot of words out, and she'll smooth the edges and twist them around.
The struggle is real.
And put it in something that makes it much better than what it started with.
Yeah.
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 This is fascinating to me because you guys sound like there's a consistent hunger to keep going with writing and producing and that's interesting. I'm wondering where that comes from. Like, where are you constantly inspired? Because some people struggle with that.
I tell you what, I think it's us. I think it's me with her and her with me.
I agree.
I've been in a lot of situations with a lot of talented people, and I just don't feel that creativity.
Get the block.
Every day is new. Every day is new. There's always a new melody in our heads. If people see us coming down the road, we're singing. We're singing
That's
stuff,
the truth. Yeah.
So, there's a lot of animation going on inside that Jeep.
It's never dull. Not here. No, it's never dull. Yeah.
We work well together.
And I think too, and we do also, when we get drained, when we don't schedule that downtime and even some alone time. When you work together and you live together and you sleep together and you do everything together, you have got to respect the fact that we're also individual people, and he needs his time and I need mine. And so we had to figure that out. Like that, there would be a couple times it was like, why are you such a grumpy?
Well, I figure that hers, I'm learning this, that her time alone has cost a little bit of money. She gets a tattoo, she gets her nails done, she gets her hair done, and I get to go stick my feet in some water somewhere. There's a creek, I'll go there.
I don't always spend money when I go have me time, but we do. We'll separate. Go, even if that's just go for a drive.
Yeah.
He likes to go for a drive.
I found myself one time at 1:37 in the morning, just taking up 35 miles from home out in the country with the radio blaring, just singing my heart out, thinking, man, I did this as a senior. I'm too old for this.
No,
you are not.
But
never.
I'm still doing it.
I love that. People don't go for drives anymore either. I haven't heard that term in a few years, a few minutes.
I love that. Our youngest, who's still at home, she'll get aggravated with us. We'll be like, we're going for coffee. It's 7:45 in the morning, and at 3:00 in the afternoon, she said, "Where are you guys?"
We're out for 5 hours driving.
We're still out driving.
Yeah.
Taking pictures of trees and different things, buildings that are abandoned in old fields.
Checking out airplanes.
That is the coolest thing you've ever seen.
Something.
Yeah, we are total romantics.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Like I say, every day's new.
Finding old creek and go wading in it.
That in and of itself is every day is new. Like that in and of itself, I think we just need to clip. And that I wish that there were more people that had that kind of mentality. Because for me, what I'm gathering from as you're talking and elaborating, that is what is fueling that of that hunger, that passion to keep going.
Oh yeah. Oh, it does. It does. We just love life, and we've been blessed, and we know we've been blessed, and we don't, the one thing we're going to do, we are the most fair to a fault people you'll ever find. And, anything that we do, like this machine, this album, we give credit where credit's due. We'll overgive credit.
Well, because we no one does it alone.
Yeah.
And even, back to the other thing you were just talking about, Trey, is like, when you, even when we're going through some difficult stuff, whether that be something going on in the family, something going on with us, who knows? It could be, it's life, right? I always try to step back and say, okay, what's the message? What's the message? What am I supposed to take away from this? Because I feel like I do believe that everything you go through is a teaching moment. You've got to, if you don't learn something with every step you take in life,
Karma can be a bitch.
She's a mean girl, right?
She can be a mean girl.
You have to embrace what the universe is trying to teach you and help you along, and what you're supposed to learn from this part of the journey. It's the journey that's important, and we both live by that sentiment. And the journey, it's not about the destination, it's the journey.
And we got no problem helping people, and we don't want nothing for it. We don't pay us nothing, don't give us nothing. Pass it forward.
If we have something that can help you,
if everybody can pass forward what we did to them, that's all we ask for.
Yes,
that's how it should be.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes not to fall into that woe is me little tank. I try. I do.
She pulled that on me one time.
I got tired of listening to it. I was like, well,
it's when we were at the beginning of our relationship together. It was very tumultuous. It was a Jerry Springer show, as she says. And, we went through a 45-day period.
The only thing missing from that whole time was a paternity test between the two of us. That was the father of the baby. Yeah, we didn't have kids together, but that's the only thing missing from that time. It is, tell the truth.
What are you using all these kids?
Be honest. We were a mess.
So we went 45 days without talking to each other, and she wrote some good songs during that period. And one of them was a hit on me. It was a F You Chris song, and what she doesn't realize at the time was I love the song. I love the song. The songs that she just tears me up. Yeah, it gives me more energy to play it, because that's real emotion.
Yeah.
Is it one you've recorded?
Not yet.
No,
we
not
want to
yet.
do it this time around.
Yeah,
We're going to do it next.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch for that.
Oh, yeah. Now, there are some songs on this album, The Things You Do. Is that right? That's right. That's on the album? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's not me. It's not about me. So
yeah, that's about something else I was really mad about.
Yeah, that one's not me.
Yeah. Just to clarify, everyone.
That was a work-related one for her.
Disclaimer. I should have put that on the album credits. That song is not about Chris.
No castrations needed. Sorry.
No. Well, we needed him. He just didn't. He didn't need it. Somebody else did.
Yeah. Are there any songs that, when you were putting together your album, you said, I have to have this song on the album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I Want You to Know Me was one of the ones that we were like, it has to be on the album. It's not been released as a single or anything like that yet, but it was one of the first ones we wrote together. And that one had to be on the album.
Yeah.
We were definitely...
We don't have that out?
No, it's not been released as a single.
Which one? Which was the fourth one?
I Want You to Know.
That is I Want You to Know Me.
No, I Think It's You.
I Think It's You.
Is the one that
you said I Want You to Know.
Did I?
Yes.
No, I said I Think It's You.
Oh, we'll catch.
In my head.
We'll catch this one. This will be the proof that she's been wrong through the most times she's accused me of being wrong.
Oh my God! So, I Think It's You is recorded. The song. Nobody likes him very much. If you haven't figured that out.
Could be me too.
I did say that to a lady one day. We're walking at Walmart, and you couldn't make this up. She's in her van in the handicap spot, and she's smoking with her oxygen on.
Oh no!
And she's got the window down, and he and her are doing this banter back and forth. And I looked at him. I know, hide the skillet. I looked at him. I looked at her. And I went, nobody likes him very much, and she was like, and it was. We still laugh about that to this day. Yeah. You can't make it up.
No, there's Walmart. There's Walmart people. You see those websites of people at Walmart.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's still around, but I do remember it.
Oh yeah. Well, we see them every time we go into Walmart. Yeah, we're rural America, so
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, county fairs and hog farms. You can smell them coming up to them. Yeah.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh my God. I Think It's You. That is a song that we had to have on the album.
Yeah, that was the first song we wrote.
Mm-hmm. One of them, yeah.
Yeah, one of the very first ones that we wrote. I wanted to make sure that we did Don't Tell Me Why.
And Don't Tell Me Why.
And that became a single.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
The fourth single that's out there, I
Want You to Know.
I Want You to Know. Yeah. The second single was called Surrender. The story behind Surrender is it was one of the first year in the studio. We weren't quite, we didn't have our studio shoes
You
on.
don't have our
yet.
vibe going. Just
Yeah,
yet.
so that first year
That's a whole thing.
pretty much got shelved. But we didn't think about having a producer. We went in the studio thinking just her and I just would do a recording, use a drum machine or something. And the producer now, J.D. Harris, he asked if it would be all right if he took that song and played with it. All right, yeah, sure, fine.
Yeah.
Well, when he brought it back, it was a masterpiece. And I had to relearn to play the bass to lay a new bass line down on it.
Yeah.
And that song hit number 5 in the iTunes in the UK.
Oh, wow.
And, oh yeah, it did. The first song hit number 26, and that was called "Getting By." So, Rick Schutte helped us on that one. He gave us the intro to that song, and we wrote the rest of it around a bottle of tequila on a cutting board in the kitchen one night. So,
Senior Patron,
man.
Oh, we don't speak that name in my house.
Oh, Patron.
That's like Jim Beam. He and I divorced in the 90s. We don't talk.
Cuervo is the one I can't get along with, but Patron I'm pretty good with. But it does make me get a little loud. That's the kind of stuff that in the morning you wake up going, "What did I do last night that I should be embarrassed about? Something feels wrong."
I'm sure I did something bad.
Yeah, what did I do?
This year we've noticed a trend in our podcast, and that is one of the topic of authenticity. And that's something that I feel like you guys have so much of that, and I love how real and genuine and fun you are.
Have tried to stay true to just who we are.
Yeah, we're true to our values,
All tequila, Josh, because that's sad.
He said tequila and I are not friends.
We're not going to compromise our values, and we don't even know what our values truly are, but we know what they aren't, and we just do what's us, We're authentic to our style. What we've learned is over the time we're starting to produce a style, and that style was created by a lot of this machine, these studio musicians that we send the stems down to there, and then they put their parts to it, bring them back, and then we pick whether we want to keep these tracks or not. And so far we've always kept all the tracks, even whether we use them or not, we're going to pay for them.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
nice.
And
that's wise.
Yeah, and we keep them, and we don't give them, we don't tell them what we want to do. JD might guide them, but
yes, he does do the. He'll guide. This is what I'm looking for the song. Yeah.
Yeah, but we could care less, really, because so far it's worked in our favor.
We just trust.
They've fallen right into that same groove that we have going, and it works really well for us. You would think that we've all been jamming. You listen to the radio or the album, you'll think that we're a band that's been together a long time. And some of these we haven't even met. Yeah, we were in contact with some of them, but some of them we're not even in contact with. So a lot of really good musicians out there, and you got to have the right people to know who the right people are to put in the right spots.
That's true.
So we're lucky there.
It also sounds like JD is also really good at kind of communicating what the vibe is and being able to be that interpreter.
We were lucky, we struck gold, I feel like, because we were put into the path of a guy that just got us, right out of the gate. And JD and I a lot of times I would go in and do like backing vocals and stuff, and I would just go by myself. Chris would be doing other things with other people, and JD and I could sit at the board and like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? And we're just on the same page. Just on the same page, which is, I think, unique first time around,
what's interesting is Angie has done the majority of all the harmony on the album. I only get one song that I got to do some harmony on. That she always kept doing it, and I'm like, oh, she seems to be doing. It's very rare to harmonize to your own voice. and she can throw 3 or 4 parts in there. Now, when I'm hearing them as they're being laid, and all I'm hearing is that harmony, I'm thinking, well, I hope this works out because that just doesn't sound right, you know. But then JD gets in there and blends all those harmonies together, and they come out beautiful.
JD and I have a plan, you know,
Yeah,
we're doing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
He said something early on before we, asked him if he would be our producer. He was talking about a friend of his who opened up a recording studio.
He's an attorney.
He graduated as an attorney, but he wanted to be have a studio. You know, he wanted to be a producer. So his parents said, "All right, we're going to give you so much a period of time to make this succeed. If not, then you're going to go to be an attorney."
Law school.
Yeah, and he said, "Okay." And then I go, "So how'd it work out?" He goes, "He's an attorney." I said, "So what was the problem?" He goes, "The biggest problem he had was he found it hard to listen to somebody's voice 8 hours a day as he's mixing." And JD was looking at Angie and goes, "I think I could listen to her voice all the time."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's really,
Yeah, that's like, what?
yeah. And, just, you got the right people then. So,
Yeah.
So we love him.
mm.
He's
So for-
terrific.
When it comes to people that are like up and coming, because you have been around, you mentioned early on that you were at an award ceremony with 28 countries represented. You've been at other award ceremonies where there are tons of brand new artists that are coming out. For those that are just now starting to come into to get into the music business, what advice would you give to them?
Educate yourself. And I mean, this is the behind the scenes stuff. It's so vital. You have to know about copyright and protecting your intellectual property, that first and foremost, and then know how to add all that information behind the scenes so that your work remains protected and has those unique identifiers that lead it back to you. Because if you don't, it's lost, right? And it can be taken so easily. And you're not going to make a lot of money on the digital streaming platforms. You're just not, unless you're someone like Taylor Swift or Lainey Wilson, who's, those big names. They're banking on the Spotify and stuff. Most other people are not.
What you're going to get is a lot of recognition. And then again, you still have to have a good song.
Yeah.
Have a song that is true, that you believe in. Don't try to be like somebody else.
Just do you, man.
Do you.
Do you.
The White Stripes, I'm sure they weren't trying to be like somebody else, or the Black Keys, just be you.
And be patient, because it takes a while.
It does take a while.
Once in a long time, somebody gets lucky and they're in the right place at the right time in front of the right people, and yay them. And I secretly am jealous, and when I hit them with an iron skillet. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's most of the time not that way, right? It's a lot of work, years and years of work. I listened to a thing with Lainey Wilson, and she talks about her journey, and Gretchen Wilson too. The day Gretchen Wilson heard her song on the radio for the first time, the guy came and repossessed her car, and even after Lainey, I think, signed with a big company, was on a label, she's like, it don't happen that quick. Like, I still had $26 in my checking account till the next time I got paid, and so nothing is overnight.
Don't go into it thinking you're going to make a lot of money. Don't go into it thinking that I want to be famous. Don't go into it with unrealistic dreams. I mean, it's got to be true in your heart and true in your desire and your belief, and go forward with that. But a lot of these people, they go in for all the wrong reasons, and and a lot of them, they're trying to be like the next artist, repeat what they're doing. Let's just put a different hat on, and I don't think that works. I mean, it's sometimes working for some that new country out there.
Yeah, sometimes it does. I'll tell you too, Chris and I are in a different position entirely because we're so much older. We're not in our 20s, and we're not starving artists. Because some people are starving artists. They've and God bless them. They've taken a leap. I commend them for that. That's balls.
We're not going to Weinstein over anything.
But I mean, that's really that's real courage. You have given up everything else. You've put everything you have into your craft, and you're doing your best to get out there and make it, and that is hard. So you got to be patient. We have a very unique position in that we have the leverage, right? So we've been able to make our lifestyle and manage our lifestyle. We've got other means of income where a lot of people don't, because this is what they do. We still play a lot. We're running ourselves ragged and we're getting older, but we aren't in a position where we're going to have to take a bad deal, if we run into something like that.
Yeah, we're not willing to.
Yeah, I think that's
to make the wrong choice.
Yeah.
To try to be someplace.
So that's
else.
a lucky thing for us. But
if we're stuck here in Kings Creek, Ohio, we're good.
Man, I commend those folks that are in their 20s that get in a car and go live in their car and go down to wherever they go and try to give everything they have to the music. God bless you. That's spirit. That's real spirit, and I wish wish them all the best.
Those are people who haven't settled down, haven't homesteaded,
Yeah.
haven't paid for a house, haven't established. The one thing I've learned in moving from one house to the other is I had to buy a 40-foot shipping container to store a lot of my stuff. Gather more stuff.
We'll be on episode 525 of Hoarders in a year.
I don't see it as hoarders. I'm a very sentimental man.
That's what we're calling it.
But when you lose everything in your life 3 times, and then you got to the point where like that hairdryer might not work, but that cord's still good.
There's still something sentimental about holding on to these things, because there's memory, there's emotion, and you can go back to it for inspiration.
Don't encourage him, Trey.
Yeah,
he's sentimental.
My biggest
I'm
thing.
kidding.
No, my biggest thing is I've got way more tools than a man should ever have.
I was like,
I got 3 or 4 of everything, and I still can't find any of them. So that's my big goal: organizing the tools.
It's like, why do we have this?
Yeah.
What is this? What is this even? What is this?
I always said when I retired, I'm going to start building rocking chairs because everybody I know is going to need one, right? And I don't even have the time to do that. I got plans, I got ideas, but I don't have the time. So, and I think my life is always going to be this way because there's one half of me. Okay, for 5 years before I retired, I set myself up for 2 scenarios: music, or building rocking chairs, furniture, leather work, all that stuff. So I created these shops, and turns out it's music. So
Of course.
these are kind of sitting over here.
Yeah.
In a 40-foot shipping container.
But this is one of the things that makes him though, right? He's so infatuated with all the things, it's kind of charming. He's like a little kid. Oh, what is this? I'm gonna get some of those. Next thing you know, the Amazon dude's bringing stuff to do whatever it is that he's run into. I'm gonna do that. When oh my God! And where are we gonna put it?
And when the daughters have something that they're interested in, now they want to do this. Okay,
because they're just female him.
Yeah, so make sure they have everything they need.
Yeah, for the record, Jade is still doing.
Yeah.
The leather work.
Yeah.
And that stuff. But yeah. So she's stuck with a little bit.
Well, we just had 3 baby girls over the last year.
We did.
With the girl, with our daughters. So
grandbabies.
The last one was just born last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Coyote.
Oh.
That's a cool name.
All girls. Let me tell you,
Coyote,
girls will cost you money.
Sky. That's
You're never done. You're never done with them. You're constantly paying on the girls. They're in their 40s and you're paying on the girls.
But they come back and they love you and they want to have you in their life.
Yes, they argue about which one's going to get me. I thought they were arguing who didn't want to get me at the end days, when you're really old and wretched, but they're arguing, I want to take care of them. Well, we'll see how that works.
Yeah, you'll see what kind of a crusty crab he is, then you might change your mind.
Like I say, it's going to be 40 years from now. That's how I feel.
Or it'll be, you take him next week, I got him this week, I can't stand it another day.
Get the skillet.
Skillet? Did you say get the skillet?
I did.
Let me tell you, I bought her a skillet that's got this skull on the back. It's one of those long skulls.
It's a sugar skull. It's like Day of the Dead from Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
you know,
I use it all the time.
it's not meant to kill. It's meant to cook.
The look on your face.
Purpose. It's a dual purpose
Yeah.
item. I like all functionality out of an item that I
It
can
is
get.
a multi-purpose skillet.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, it is.
It really
But
is.
yeah, you can take
Rapunzel had
any,
the right idea.
you know, if you know how to sandblast them or something like that, you can go to these yard sales or these flea markets.
Yeah,
and
you can clean them
there's
up and then reseason them.
reseason them.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all about seasoning the cast iron.
We were talking a little bit about that before we got the podcast started. Um, I I can say for absolute certainty that we could continue talking about food, we could continue talking about music, but I just want to say you two are utterly delightful, and
Thank you.
I've truly enjoyed
We've
having
enjoyed
you
it.
on the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
We've enjoyed that.
Before we conclude today, I just really have one question. Because you answered one of our questions about inspiration and what you would give to people who are coming up in who are just getting started.
Mhm.
So rather, I would like to ask, is there someone out there, like you're gonna go have lunch with somebody? If you could have lunch and just pick their brain for about an hour, alive or dead, who would you want to have lunch with?
Merle Haggard.
Iggy
Ooh.
Pop.
That was quick. I love it.
Oh, yeah, I don't gotta think about it.
Yeah,
Merle
yeah.
Haggard.
Iggy Pop. I would like to meet that man. He's been interesting.
He's an interesting dude. He is. But Merle Haggard for me, because that is the biggest influence on me as a songwriter. Iggy Pop. He is very interesting.
Yes.
He can hardly walk these days, but he doesn't. But Merle Haggard is like the best storyteller that ever lived, I believe. And I think he will probably be one of the best that ever will live. You know, he's special. My dad was a huge Merle fan. I grew up listening to Merle Haggard. I love his ability to tell a story. All his stuff was real life stuff, you know? And all our stuff is real life stuff. And when I write lyrics, I try to write them in the way that I think Merle Haggard would, you know, just raw and pointed. This is it, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is just the unpolished version of this is what happened.
Yeah,
And
she
this, you know,
had Merle.
and I love it.
She had Merle embedded in her head.
I love it.
My dad was all about country, and I was nothing but rock and roll. You know, especially when I got into my first band, and Dad's always, boy, you gotta go country. I'm like, I don't know. I remember having a song that we put on a homegrown album on a radio station down in Dayton, and I let Dad listen to it, and he goes, son, I know a hit when I hear a hit. The first time I heard, what is it, Elvira, I knew that was a hit, and I thought, oh boy. Yeah. But we ended up getting on that album anyway. So
well. I mean, I can remember asking my dad as a young girl, Dad, what's this song about? I was sorry. I back then it was like, man, this is like a real, like somebody's reading me a story. And, but this is incredible. Is this really happening? Did this really happen to him? Yeah, these are all real things, you know?
seemed like all those country guys back then, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, you know, No Show George, you know, they all had some jail experience, you know?
Yeah.
The jails were a little tough.
Yeah.
Not like they are now, but you know.
No, but you know, you ended up on death row for stealing cars back then sometimes. So, yeah. That's my answer.
Those are incredible answers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to echo what Emily said and said those came so quick.
Yeah, I love that. There was, you know.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, okay. I would like to ask you back to the podcast in the future, please.
Yes. Anytime.
Yeah, you guys are delightful.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Thanks for having us.
No, thank you so much for being on. You shared a lot when it comes to authenticity, about just enjoying life, and you've given some true nuggets of wisdom for people who are listening. More than anything, for those who are listening to this in audio-only format, please go, after you're done listening to the audio-only, go back to the YouTube just to watch some of the facial reactions, because some of them are incredible for this. The looks that Angie will give Chris at sometimes has been hilarious.
They have worth watching for sure.
Yes. But with that, Angie, Chris, thank you so much for being on with us today and sharing your love of
Thank you. We
romanticism.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so
Loved
much for
it.
having us. We
Loved
loved it.
We'll do it again.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
As we close this episode out, this episode, along with probably every other podcast, will be dedicated to Joe Capone, our moderator, fellow comedian, passionate encourager, and greatly missed friend. You can find us pretty much wherever you tune into podcasts. For updates, announcements, and more, follow us on social media under Modern Romantic. Thanks, everybody, and go enjoy life.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, later, Josh.
Bye.